Hello, Kiss Army. I'm Pasquale Veri.
And I am Claudio Spera. Welcome to Let Me Know a Short Kiss.
This episode is going to be a special one. This episode is the first of two parts talking to the one and only Joey Cassata about the Handsome Devils performance of the Creatures of the Night album and his performance of the music from the Elder album, along with Todd Kerns, Zach Thorne, Jeremy Asbrock, Tyler Leslie, and Hal Sparks. Now, both these amazing shows were performed at the Kiss Cancer Goodbye event. So first, let's talk to the Handsome Devil himself, Mr. Joey Cassata. Welcome, my friend.
How are you, brothers? Thank you so much again for having me back. It's a pleasure. You know, I love you guys. I love what you do. I love your show. It's an honor to be here again.
Thank you so much, man. It's so nice to see you, man. Always so much energy, so positive, man. We love you so much, man. I love it.
Again, guys, I can't appreciate you guys enough. I love what you do. The energy comes straight from this, by the way. It's just
I love it. Hey, Joey, for our listeners who don't know, who are the Handsome Devils and how did this band come about?
So, long story short, so we did Kiss Cancer Goodbye the last 2 years in a row. Last year, you know, Neil kind of just gets all of these musicians. He gets them in a fish bowl, and he's just drawing out names to see who he thinks should do what pieces of what event. Now, last Kiss Cancer Goodbye, I did with Todd Kerns and Bruce Kulick and Joe McGinnis. We did the full Alive 3 record, but I was also asked to do Lick It Up. And, you know, we were going to do it with Todd and I were going to do it together again. And we were going to do it with Charlie Parra from Quarantine and also Gabriel Connor from Red Devil Vortex. Gabriel, I know for a while. He's good friends with Paulie Z from ZO2 back out in LA. So we have that connection. He actually filmed and did our last video, Begin Again, for ZO2. So I know Gabriel through that route. Charlie Parra, of course, I know through Quarantine. I played a couple Quarantine shows with him, you know, Chris Jericho's Quarantine. Todd and I actually had never met up until this point. So, you know, we were thrust all together. You know, when we do these Kiss Cancer Goodbye events or any kind of events like Creatures Fest and all this stuff, we have very limited time together in rehearsal. So a lot of our rehearsing, believe it or not, is just via text. We're just talking. Hey, did you listen to Danger? Did you listen to blah, blah, blah? You know, did you listen to Unholy? There's a weird section in here where it's 7 bars instead of 6 and blah, blah, blah. So we're communicating like that a lot, but we don't really get to rehearse. We kind of run it like last year. We got to run most of the songs almost once the night before we performed. So when we got thrown together and did the Lick It Up set, we weren't the Handsome Devils yet. Now, this is up for debate. I always thought that Neil proclaimed us the Handsome Devils. Now, I've also heard that Charlie, who is one of my favorite people in the world, he's such a sweetheart. Rumor has it that Charlie might have mentioned it first. So it actually is up in the air who named us the Handsome Devils. But last year at Kiss Cancer Goodbye, we did the full Lick It Up album with a couple of Creatures of the Night encores. So that's kind of how we got started.
So how did then the performance of Creatures get started? Was that an extension of your Lick It Up show?
Yeah, so it almost felt like the next logical step, right? I'm not even sure why, to tell you the truth, Neil chose Lick It Up the year before. Like, why would he choose Lick It Up of all albums? I'm not sure. But we didn't even ask questions. You want us to do Lick It Up? Sounds good to us. We'll do it. So this year, when we really kind of became like this entity of the Handsome Devils, just because we really gelled well together. When you play with musicians and you only get to play with them that one time, and you gel as well as we gelled, you know you have chemistry. And you don't always get it. You could have the 5 best musicians in the world. They could play together and have no chemistry and it'll sound like horse shit. But it's something just worked when we played together. So when we got approached this year, unfortunately, Charlie was booked. He does a lot of touring. he lives down in South America, so he was booked already. He couldn't do the event. So Gabriel said to Neil Davis, who is the man who runs all these events, he said, my guitar player in my band, Red Devil Vortex, is phenomenal. Kiss fan. Let's just get him on board. And I knew Luis as well, just like I knew Gabriel from out in LA. Whenever I'm out in LA, I see those guys. So Luis got thrown into the mix, and Neil suggested, well, the next logical step, let's do Creatures of the Night, cover to cover. And then we'll throw the opposite. We'll do a couple Lick It Up encores.
Yeah, yeah.
So, we jumped at the chance. Creatures, listen, I love Lick It Up, don't get me wrong. But Creatures is so special, not only to me, but to the Kiss community.
Oh, yeah.
Creatures is one of those records that, it didn't sell well when it came out, of course. But over the years, it has become an iconic Kiss record. So, to have the honor to try to play this record live, probably for the first time ever. Now, I don't want to hear Kiss fans yelling at me, no, we did it once in blah, blah, blah country. I'm just guessing that we were the first ever to play it cover to cover. Some of these songs I had never heard live before.
But
so,
Joey, even more for you as a drummer, man, that's a dream, man. That's a dream for every drummer to play that album.
And not only a dream, but like an honor and also like tremendous pressure, believe it or not.
Yeah, of course.
And I don't feel the pressure ever. I just love doing what I do, and I love recreating some of these Kiss events because obviously we're all Kiss homers. We were talking about off the air beforehand. Yeah. We all love Kiss, whether it's me as a musician or Todd as a singer who's played with Bruce, and we're all major Kiss fans, just like you guys, just like all the other podcasters. We're all in the same boat. But when we get asked to do an iconic album like Creatures, and as the drummer, Creatures is known for what? The drums on that record, right? Eric Carr's shining moment, not only the playing, but the sound. So it was a big, big undertaking. When I do something, I try not to ever do it half-assed. I always do it full-assed. So when we took on the job of learning Creatures, and The Elder, obviously we'll get to too, but when we took on the job of learning Creatures, I had never played 80% of these songs before. Now I listen to them, but when I listen to stuff and learn stuff, it's two different things. Yeah. I listen to it as a consumer, as a fan. I'm listening to Creatures all the time. I love it. I know the songs inside and out. As a listener, I can sing them. I can air drum them and air guitar them and whatever. But I never sat down to dig into Saint and Sinner and Killer and all of these songs that are on this record, these B-sides that really I wanted to make sure that I could try to capture Eric to the best of my ability.
Well, did you find yourself studying Eric Carr's drumming in a new way, or did you already have a feel for these songs?
Both. And I know that's probably an easy way out to answer that, but it really is both, because Eric has always been my biggest inspiration. I started playing because of Peter. I saw the Dynasty Tour, 1979. I'm 5 years old. Madison Square Garden in New York changed my life. I saw the Dynasty Tour, changed everything for me. It set me on that path forever. I knew not only I loved Kiss forever, but I had to be a drummer. I had to be on that drum riser, rising up in the air. That's all I wanted to do. But as we all know, Peter was gone right after that. So I never got into more of Peter right away. Eric was my first introduction after that. Saw Peter live, got into Double Platinum, got into Love Gun, got into Alive 2. But the new records that came out after that were all Eric.
Right.
So Eric, I studied my whole life, especially, my biggest Bible growing up was the Kiss Animalize Live uncensored VHS. Every single day after school, boop, I would pop that in. I swear to you, I watched it every day for minimum 2 years. 6th and 7th grade, I watched it every day after school. No fail. So I already studied Eric's drumming just because I watched it so much. But again, like I said, watching it and listening to it and learning it are two different things. Eric's drumming, everyone always thinks of Eric as this big bombastic drummer, and of course he is. But he has so many intricate little things that he does on the hi-hat, on the ride cymbal, where he's riding his right hand. He's so intricate the way he plays. Creatures was a big challenge.
And as a band, how did you guys prepare for this performance?
Again, same way, kind of like I mentioned before. We were texting back and forth. Hey, do you hear this weird part in Danger? Yeah, Joey, what do you think the count is? I said, well, I think the count is this. Either way, let's do it this way. So we would work out a little bit, like we would almost like come up with little song maps. Here's the arrangement we're going to do. Because especially like the songs that fade out, or the songs that don't have the hard endings are hard to duplicate. Believe it or not, like duplicating a live 3 for me was way easier than Creatures and the Elder, because it's a live recording. It had all the live ins and outs. Ins and outs are the hardest part for a musician. How am I counting this song in? How are we getting out of this song? So on a live record, it's easy because they're all there. On a studio recording, it's much harder. So we had to, we're just communicating back and forth via text, trying to map out these songs. Hey, how are we going to end this song? Right. What are we going to do for Keep Me Coming at the end? How are we going to end Rock and Roll Hell? Stuff like that. So all of that comes together via text over, months and months and months. And for me, I come down into my studio. I have my big kit in the back there, the Eric Carr type kit, if you could see it in the back there. I come down here and I run the set, and I run it and I run it, and I have my metronome on, making sure I have the tempos right. And it's just repetition, repetition, repetition. And then we get together the night before the show. We run it all once. And all that is, you have to come in knowing it. If you're not a professional musician and you don't come into a rehearsal
knowing the song,
80 to 99% ready,
right,
then you're not ready, because you got to be ready to play, and you're just working out the little kinks that maybe you interpreted different than the guitar player or the singer. Or you're telling, me as a drummer, I'm telling the singer, hey, let's cue this way. Hey, you end this song with a guitar headstock. I'll end this song with a count, or stuff like that. Little communication issues we'll run through in rehearsals. And that's really it. And then, we just fly by the seat of our pants. Here we go, guys. Let's see what we got.
That's crazy. I remember seeing a video of Kiss Symphony when Kiss had this concept of this Kiss Symphony, but when they got together with the symphony, it's like, oh my God, you start to panic. Is this going to work?
Yeah.
Did you ever get that feeling when you guys got together? Like, oh my God, this is more difficult than I thought.
I will tell you, I thought that way more for the Elder than Creatures. Only because, there's 2 such different albums. Obviously, we all know that, right? Creatures is such a physical album that if you physically learn that record, and you're me as a drummer, that my stamina was able to keep up with that record. Not only the playing style of Eric, bashing the drums. I think I just sold more sticks, but I broke 3 cymbals during my rehearsals.
Really? Oh, wow.
I must have broken, 15 pairs of sticks.
Oof.
During just running rehearsals for myself, because I can't rehearse just playing the parts.
Slowly,
I have to physically rehearse it, because I have to get my stamina up. I have to get my muscle memory ready to go. So learning that stuff half-assed, you just can't do it. You got to go full out. Whereas the Elder was more cerebral. The Elder was way more of a cerebral album, where we could have gone off the tracks way easier, and there could have been a train wreck at the end of that.
Yeah.
Where Creatures, it's just balls to the wall, driving in your car, put the pedal to the metal, and just kill everyone. Elder's way more methodical. So I thought I was more worried about the Elder because there was way more things that could go wrong than with Creatures.
Of course. Hey, Joey, let me touch a little bit on the concept of the Kiss Cancer Goodbye event, because we all know that has a really powerful message behind it. So how did it feel to be part of such a meaningful cause?
I mean, Neil does the best job in the business. He is phenomenal at what he does. Not only of how he runs the event, the professionalism, the people he gets together for the events, the organization of the events, but for the cause, right? Listen, Neil could easily say, this is not for charity, and do an event for his own pockets, right?
Yeah.
And he doesn't. Neil and Dale, who helped him put it on this year. It's all for an incredible event. And that's what really makes it worthwhile for us too. Like we all have so many gigs, everyone's touring, everyone's doing recording sessions. We're all so busy. But when we here to come together, not only to celebrate Kiss and to have these once in a lifetime moments to recreate these classic records, but to also on top of that, the little cherry on top of the sundae, to do this for an incredible cause. God, I can't imagine we all don't know someone or many people in our families, friends that hasn't suffered from cancer or suffered from a loss from cancer. So to create an event like this, the professionalism behind it and the cause behind that, it's just top notch.
Right. And on top of that, us being such a united Kiss family, when the Kiss Army shows up, and it's there, in front of you guys, for the show and gatherings and people, that must bring also an extra layer of energy, right? So for you guys, so that pumps you up, that like there's no tomorrow, I guess.
I mean, I've said it so many times, these types of events, as great as the performing is, and even like, the last Kiss tour, the End of the Road tour, these events are not only about playing live and doing and seeing your performances or being part of the performance like I am, but it's all the Kiss fans gathering again, celebrating together, reminiscing, talking about this, haggling over a Kiss doll, talking about why The Elder is crap or why The Elder is the best record in the catalog, or the arguments that go on and the fighting that goes on and the love that goes on. We all have the same ridiculous mentality about Kiss. We love Kiss. We complain about Kiss. We love them. We hate them. We love them so much. All we want to do is celebrate them together. The music, the history, the 50-year history, not just one part of the history. I love it all. There's no part in history. So many fans are like, I only love this. I only love, up into Dynasty, or I only love the Unmasked era. Oh, I only love Revenge, or I only love Tommy and Eric. I love it all. I love Kiss more because it has all those eras. I'm a firm believer if only the first four members ever all stayed together and we got the same records, even if they stayed together for 50 years, we would have had the same type of records all the way through the years. We would have had no variation. Having things like going to the first Kiss record, then going to Unmasked, The Elder, and Creatures. God, and then Crazy Nights. You're getting so much flavor in your Kiss.
And Revenge and Carnival of Souls,
You can any day of the week when I'm in the mood for something, I can take a Kiss record out and put it on.
Right.
If it's pop, if it's heavy, if it's theatrical, if it's old school blues, anything it is, I can go pick out a Kiss record and find something that I want. That's what creates Kiss and creates the fan base that they have, I think. So these events are top notch and the best only because we get to celebrate all these things together. That's why when we do stuff like the Creatures show and the Elder show, and we have almost, I think, 2 or 3 million views online already from those shows.
Oh, wow.
I was joking with the guys on a text thread the other day. I said, guys, that's probably more records than those records sold. So we have more listens on our concerts than they had on the original records, which is crazy. Yeah. But it just shows you that this is the type of stuff Kiss fans want. Kiss fans want all this rare stuff that they never got to see.
Yeah.
Okay, listen, I'm gonna tell you a little Homer moment here. We all know how Creature starts with the drums, right? So I downloaded the video and put it on my big screen TV. And before I started it, I jacked up the sound. I pressed play. Joey, when you hit those drums, oh my God, I had goosebumps. Goosebumps. It set the stage for the rest of the show. Oh my God, it was incredible. That was the Creatures album. It was incredible. Incredible.
You want to hear something funny? Like the beginning of Creatures of the Night, like I did it, and like they always did it live, is different than the record. It's double.
Yeah.
So the record is just da 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 da, and it's in. The live version is da 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 da
Right.
da.
Yeah,
So it's
doubles.
double.
Yeah.
And that was actually like a debate. I said, we wanted to be so true to the record. Like we even did the fade out, guys, in
Yes.
I Love It Loud, right?
Yes.
We tried to be so true to the record because even I Love It Loud live, the arrangement is different.
Mhm.
War Machine, the arrangement is different live. I Still Love You is different live. The only thing that I took from the live versions of these songs was the Creatures opening. I said, listen, it's such an iconic opening. If we're going to lead
Yeah.
off with that, I have to do the double.
Right.
Yeah. Because that was my next question, right? Were there any tracks that felt different playing live compared to listening to the record?
I mean, again, the stuff that was never played live, we just copied flat out the
Right,
record, right?
right.
Satan Sinner, Keep Me Coming, Rock and Roll Hell, all that stuff, cut and dry on the record. But stuff like Creatures, even like the speed of Creatures, if you listen, Creatures of the Night on the record is way slower than they've ever played it live.
Yeah.
And then things like I Love It Loud, the arrangement is so different. War Machine, so different that, and especially because Todd and I just played like I Love It Loud the year before. So we were, we had that version in our head. But if you listen to the Alive 3 version and the album version, which we played live at Kiss Cancer Goodbye, they're very different.
Yeah.
Different enough that will mind screw you while you're trying to play. So that's the stuff, believe it or not, that was the most difficult to relearn. Because
Okay.
I've heard the and played the live version of I Love It Loud probably 50 times. So I almost had to learn a new version for it.
Okay. So speaking of which song do you feel pushed you the hardest as a drummer?
That's a great question. God. I mean, again, if we're just talking about the Creatures of the Night set,
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny because like 3 songs I would say to me were the most challenging for me, and for different reasons. Danger was hard physically. Danger is just so fast. It's you probably don't even hear it where I'm playing it, but it's a shuffle the whole time on the hi-hat. And I'm doing it. You can't hear it live very much. You almost can't even see it in the video because where the camera is, especially like the drum cam is over this shoulder. So you don't see my hi-hat, but I'm shuffling the whole entire time on Danger.
For the whole song. For the whole song.
Danger.
Wow.
The whole entire song.
Oh,
So at that speed, I think it was like 177 or something. I think what the tempo was, but I'm doing the shuffle the whole time. So physically, that was a very demanding song. Then something like Saint Sinner, pattern-wise, was very difficult because Eric, again, the underrated part of Eric's playing is his hi-hat work. If you listen to Creatures and Lick It Up, the way Michael James Jackson's produced his drums on both records, not just Creatures, the drum sound on Lick It Up is very underrated. Michael James Jackson produces cymbals even better than he produces drums. So if you listen to Eric's cymbal work on those records, that's the stuff that stands out in those 2 records. That's the stuff that you start to lose in Asylum.
Yeah, exactly.
Nights,
yes
Hot
sir.
in the Shade. All of that texture stuff. Eric's still probably doing it, but the producers never picked it up again.
Yeah.
Eric's mastery of hi-hat and texture work is long forgotten once you get past Animalize. Even Animalize, you hear it a little bit. Like if you listen to I've Had Enough and
Under the Gun,
Get All You Can Take, Under the Gun, there's a lot of hi-hat stuff that's not just straight double bass and heavy pounding drums. There's a lot of hi-hat work. So Saint and Sinner was a very difficult type of shuffle that Eric does. And I actually had to go back. The thing that helped me the most on Saint and Sinner was the Creatures of the Night box set. If you ever listen to the Creatures of the Night box set, there's like 3 outtakes for Saint and Sinner.
Yeah.
Where they like start and they stop and they start and they stop. I don't know if you guys have ever dove into that, but it's fascinating because you can really hear what Eric's playing. I even had drummers like emailing me like, you're playing the wrong pattern. Eric doesn't do that. That hi-hat is overdubbed. He doesn't do it. He does it. So I'm telling you now, Eric's doing all the he's doing all that shuffle on the hi-hat. So it's not an overdub because you can hear it in the outtakes from
Mhm.
the Creatures box set. So
Yeah.
pattern-wise, that was the most difficult. But then again, weirdly, something that I thought first listen was going to be very easy, Killer had some weird bars in it during the solo section, just weird stuff happening where it took a little figuring out, like charting it out to make sure that I had the actual breakdown correct. So again, it was all challenging in its own way, but those three, for those reasons, kind of gave me the most difficulty.
Joey, coming back to the to this great event. So, are there any memorable behind the scene stories from Kiss Cancer Goodbye that you would like to share with us?
Oh my God! I mean, there's so
So
again
many.
as much fun as we're having on stage, and as much fun as you guys and even me when the other bands are on in the audience are having. All the backstage stuff or the after party stuff is just as memorable.
Yeah.
So a couple of little things that stand out, like Eric Singer in the back room showing Kent from Quarantine. And I was doing this. So you can't really see it in the video that much, just the way it was edited. But in War Machine, if you look back at the Rock the Nation tour, Eric Singer during War Machine does a bop, and he throws his stick up in the air and he catches it
Okay.
on beat. He crosses and he goes and he catches it every time. Now I toured the Rock the Nation tour with them, as you know, with ZO2. So
Yeah.
I saw Eric do that every night for 3 months, and I studied it, and I pulled it into the Creatures of the Night performance. So I was doing that. Kent from Quarantine was watching me side stage. Now, if people don't know, Kent from Quarantine is one of the best drummers in the world. He's Luke Bryan's drummer, country star Luke Bryan's drummer. So Kent is
Okay.
playing, he's playing these massive arenas every night. So Kent is incredible. So he's watching me. So that's pressure enough. But I'm doing these stick tricks during War Machine. And he's like, dude, I know that. Eric used to do that. So when Eric got there, Kent was asking Eric to show him how to do it. And Kent had actually posted a little clip online on his social media of him and Eric
Doing the stuff.
how to do the little stick tricks. So that was like one little fun backstage moment. And then there's stuff, just all the guys hanging out at the bar after, me and Scotty Coogan doing shots together, and with Chris Jericho yelling at everyone, and just some always fun camaraderie, not only with the bands, because the bands are hanging out in public. We're all just in the hotel bar or in the bar near the venue, wherever we are. We did the after party one night after the Creatures event. We didn't know how it was going to turn out. I hosted it. We didn't know if we were going to do 10, 20, 30 people. There wound up being like 150 people there. It was
Mhm.
mobbed. It was packed. We had an acoustic set. So all of the hangs, that's why these events don't just look online and say the performances are great and say, I don't know if I can afford it. It's all of the other stuff. The
Right.
before and the after are just as fun as the onstage stuff.
Of course, the in between. And Joey, just to wrap it up, given the fact that you were working on a very strict and really tight, a deadline. You were saying that you were basically texting each other, how to play the song, some sections.
Yeah.
So, were there any unexpected challenges or some moments, that you can recall?
Weirdly enough, no. I mean, again, so partly with Neil, partly with just the professionalism of everyone that Neil gets.
Okay.
The guys that I did this with, Gabriel, Luis, Charlie the year before, Todd, they're all such professionals
Right.
that anyone, and it's the best advice I can give any musician. You got to, I think, forget what Boxer said it, but maybe it was Mickey in Rocky. He said, you got to train 10,000 hours for a 10-minute fight.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not about, it's not about just getting on stage and making sure it's good. You got to have it so good before you get to your first rehearsal or run through, or when there's no rehearsal. You got to do it. Like 2 years before that, we did Creatures Fest. I just posted a clip today. We did the whole Unplugged record, cover to cover. We never even got a 30-second rehearsal.
Wow.
Really?
Never ran even 30 seconds of any song. Got up there. We have the recording. We're all professionals. Whether you're charting it out, whether you're mapping it out, whether you're just memorizing it, however you learn your songs, you got to be so perfect. And I think, Neil knows now, he knows the guys he can count on to deliver what he's looking for. These events should be once in a lifetime type events where you might never see Creatures ever again. You might never see The Elder ever again.
Exactly.
You might never see, Unplugged cover to cover ever again. They all did a live too, cover to cover. So this type of stuff, you got to just go in and have it perfect. Is there going to be hiccups? There were probably hiccups in every show. But again, being a professional, what you have to do is, I teach kids all the time too, you got to cover your mistakes like there was no mistake.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So there were definitely little mistakes everywhere. And you got to make sure you're battling through those, you're communicating on stage, and you're covering them before anyone even notices.
You're surfing. That's right. Yeah.
Joey, at last check, the Creatures of the Night performance got over 138,000 views on YouTube. I mean, listen, congratulations to you and the Handsome Devils for such an incredible accomplishment. I mean, oh my God, wow.
And the crazy part about that, like, that's just the full performance.
Yes.
If you remember, we released every video separately first. Each of those has like over 10,000 views. Then we posted them on social media every time. So I think at the last count, Luis is great at this. He's like a social media whiz. The last count, we are well over 2 million views.
That's crazy.
On everything, which is incredible. I mean, even just the one show, it has almost 200 comments. It's 140,000 views, 138,000?
138.
Just on the one performance, that one video on YouTube. If you take, like I said, if you take all the other spots that it's posted, it's crazy numbers to show an album that Kiss thinks that nobody cares about, people still love.
Yeah.
Of course. Joey, thank you so much for coming on the show, and we're really looking forward to part 2 of this episode to discuss, the music from the Elder performance.
Whew, that's a whole nother story. So, like I said, Creatures was full blast fun and sweat and fire. The Elder was our minds melting as we're trying to play it.
There you go. So, Kiss Army, were you part of the thousands and millions, 2 million, 3 million, as Joey was saying, people who saw this performance? So let us know, please, what you thought of the show in the comments section. In the meantime, please like and subscribe and support the amazing guests we have on the Kiss Army Nation podcast. Talk soon. Goodbye.